Hi, I bought these speakers in order to change them in my Sprinter 2016 or 2017 model in Australia, and yeah, I they pretty much it's kind of like mid-range, lower, sort of not very expensive. I think I paid $200 for them, and uh, I changed the door speakers, the main drivers, and I don't have a video for that. There's a few videos on the internet about that. So yeah, I used a few tools here, as you can see. Basically, Torx. You need the Torx because Mercedes they use Torx keys. I think mostly it was the T20 size for most screws, except for this panel up the windscreen pillar. On the inside, there was a strap there that holds the trim, but I actually undid it. So basically, all the panels you can pop them out with a screwdriver and then using your fingers. They all clip on, plastic, sort of pretty good. Mercedes they've done it in a way that's I have to turn this down. In a way that's pretty easy to remove and reattach. So that's the original tweeter there. Basically, I had to I had to remove this side panel, or I think so. I'm hovering here a little bit, doing some crappy camera work because I was holding it with my right hand and then using the other hand to do stuff. So apologies for that. Yeah, these ones they clip on with these same as door trim clips. They just clip on into the holes there. They line up pretty good when you reassemble it. I had to use the impact drill to undo that bolt because it's pretty tight. You can't do it. You can use a ratchet, I guess. Yeah, and then the stereo face comes off. The front panel comes very easy off. Same, it clips in, and you just have to pop out one end and just stick your fingers in there, and it'll just come out. It's got these spring clips there. That gives you access to those screws for that grey panel, which has to be removed. Just it's got two screws at the front, and then the top just comes, you have to pull it towards you. Yeah, it's got the top panel, it's got 4 screws, 2 at each end. Probably the back one you'd probably use a ratchet instead of a screwdriver. It was a bit on an angle because of the windscreen. And it's sort of like it's that top panel. It actually you clip it back. When you clip it back on, you have to push it down and then pull it towards you, and it just clicks in. It's got these kind of like right angle type of little sort of plastic things. As you can see there, the tweeter's got the capacitance. You can figure out the plus and the minus, the active and the passive wires from the plug, from the little plug that plugs into the hole. You can see the top one. The top one is the passive, the negative, whereas the the active goes through the capacitor, which is the bottom wire. So what I did, before cutting them, rather than write down, or I put the plus on the wire that was the active channel. I kind of do that with a bit of masking tape on all wires, so I don't mix them up. I basically just cut the wires and ended up soldering everything on this side. I did the right side of the dash, the right tweeter first, to learn how to do it, and then the left side was more streamlined and quicker to do it. And it was actually harder on the left side because of the fuse box and all the wiring. I couldn't install that. I couldn't put that. I was very tight to put that crossover box in there, as you'll see later on. On the right side, on the driver's side here in Australia, was easier. It was more space under the steering wheel there to fiddle with the wires, and on the left side I had to use a bit of wire to actually pull the cables through the spaces in there, because it was just couldn't put your fingers in there or hands. And here I had to cut the original supports for the tweeters. I cut those bits because they were redundant, and basically I had to enlarge the hole. I used a Stanley knife. The plastic is pretty soft. It's pretty hard to cut to go around with a Stanley knife. It's still a bit hard, so I kind of like hacked at it until I got it big enough. The hole. You got to cut quite a bit of it to push that tweeter through. So I had to hack at it quite a bit before it was enough. The hole was big enough to. Was very little left of the original kind of lip of the original tweeter. So there was very little lip left there. So, but it was just enough to push the tweeter through, the new tweeter. And this one's got the red there. You can see the active, where the active goes. I don't know if it matters really which one's active, negative, as long as you put them the same on both sides, and I guess in relation to the main drivers. Otherwise you'll get like sound cancellation. So I can't remember the wiring on the main drivers. So yeah, that screws on. That's the tweeters came with this kind of like a nut that sort of locks them in. And here I was just getting ready to solder the wires, because I couldn't be bothered with clips and stuff and crimping and all that sort of stuff, and I just decided to solder them together and use some shrinking tube. And yeah, the crossovers, they have these settings for 0 dB, 3 dB. I left them at 0 dB, and I put a bit of masking tape over that switch so I don't switch it by mistake. Because I tested the first one that I did, and 0 dB was the good setting. Otherwise, it'd probably be louder, and the highs would be too loud. I might be wrong, but I left it at 0. I didn't try to push them at 3 or 6 plus 3 or 6 dB. I mean, it's probably for all the system. I don't know. It's loud enough for me. So here I pull the. That's the input of the tweeter, and the other wire was the output, which was the actual. Now the original tweeter wires were. I soldered them to the crossover, and then the output from the crossover going into the tweeter had its own plugs there. The cable had its plugs that came with the crossover thing. I'm just reassembling here the dash, basically. I push that in. I just push the top down first and then push the front in. And the face is pretty easy, it just clips on. You've got to push kind of firmly everywhere. I'll just clip in pretty nicely. This side panel here, you'd have to push it down, the bottom first in, and then down there, and then you have to it clips in back into place, and then you have to sort of like, I use my fingers I use that rubber trim to pull it over this trim. The seal, the rubber seal for the door. Went pretty easy, didn't it? I just have to hammer it so those clips go back in. And that's pretty much done. It's just the bottom here. I had a bit of, I struggled a bit, as you can see there, to wind up all those wires and just stick them together and put the little box, the crossover box in there under that, the hood cable there. I mean, above it, I actually could stick them in above it. I pull those other cables towards me and to get the box in, and I just got a impact driver with a self-tapping screw, and I screwed one of the ears of the crossover box into the sheet metal, and it's good as gold. Basically, that's it. And then I was doing a bit of a test with music, so that's about it. Good luck.